Good evening, everybody. Welcome. It is, of course, Tuesday night, and that can only mean one thing. We are here once again for round number 3 of the Flashpoint season here, season 5. And as you can see, it's a bit different this week, of course. A few races of the season. We're doing a few different things, and this time around, as you can see in the top left, it is full qualifying this week. So we're going to be seeing the first stage of qualifying now. Of course, Q2 and then Q3 will follow that. So I'm sure a lot of the drivers will be pushing to the absolute limits to not be out in the first session here at the beautiful Silverstone circuit. For anyone who's just joining us, welcome. It is round number 3 of the season, and we've had 2 brilliant first races, of course. For anyone who missed them, Australia, first race of the season, it was Kay Gatkowski who took the win there in the Mercedes-Benz, as a few of the cars starting to come out into the track now. It was Kay Gatkowski in the Mercedes, took the win. And it was a dominant win. I must say it was an absolute dominant win from Kay Gatkowski. But a man who wasn't there, who did come back last week, is the reigning champion, which is Selly 360. And last time out at Imola, he had a brilliant race, brilliant qualifying, and took the win in Imola. So will we be able to see another win from Selly? Will he close closer to Kay Gatkowski at the top, or will we see somebody else win? Will we see Frankis, for example, who's in a second place so far this season? Or will we see Carl, who unfortunately isn't here this week? Will we see him come back next week and try and get a win or two? And of course, Justas as well had a very, very unlucky race, did Justas. He got punted into the wall in the Haas car. And that is a man who's got brilliant pace, but couldn't quite put it together in qualifying, put him in a really tough spot, as we see Talisber out on the track now as well in the McLaren. On the intermediate tyres, I think he's just making sure that everything is sorted for himself at the moment in that McLaren. But yeah, to go through the championship standings for you guys, like I say, with that first win of the season, Kay Gatkowski still leads the championship. Of course, he came third last time out in Imola. For anyone who wasn't watching, he's got 40 points at the top of the standings. And 14 points already is the gap. NLR Frankis still in P2 after a great first race in Australia, taking second. And of course, last time out as well, had a good solid race, got some good points on the board, which has allowed him to stay in second place. And NSX Selly, of course, the reigning champion, Selly 360, he flew all the way P3 in the standings, which was massive for him last time out. He came back with a vengeance, got that win, and like we mentioned, he has put himself right back in contention. And Carl in P4 on 18 points after a brilliant second place result last time out at Imola, in front of the Tifosi in the Ferrari car. Of course, as you can see, he is being replaced this week, can't quite make it this week, unfortunately, can Carl, but he is still P4 in the standings at the moment. Then Vaporizer, again, another man who had an awful race last week, really didn't get pole position, really he should have done better in the race, but made a mistake under the safety car, spun, and that put him right down the order. So Vaporizer wants to look out again for this week. And then of course Igor in 6th again, last time out just did not have the best race. He just really struggled and retired in the pits because he had a terrible qualifying. He'll want to fix that today. Of course, last time out he didn't put a single lap on the board, but I'm sure we'll see a return for himself. And Zorzo in 7th, Dirk in 8th, Luke in 9th, and then Erpek rounds out the top 10 in the standings. In terms of the team standings as well, Mercedes-Benz, due to the first place and third place at the Australian Grand Prix, the first round, still got quite a lead in the championship, 55 points for the Silver Arrows, then followed by Aston Martin, who shot up the standings last time, as we've got a yellow flag in Sector 3. I think people are just slowing down. But Aston Martin, yeah, 39 points for them, and Alpine in 3rd, still great racing from them in the first few, 26 points, then Ferrari in 4th place on 18, only courtesy of Carl, of course. So we'll want to see some more points on the board from Spicer, I'm sure, this time out. And then Haas in P5, McLaren 6th, Alfa Romeo 7th, Williams in 8th, and then Red Bull AlphaTauri in 9th and 10th as well. But it will be said, Red Bull and AlphaTauri actually do not have any points on the board currently, so interested to see what they can do. So like we say, let's have a look at what everybody's on at the moment. Of course, got a few Inters laps going. People want to get a bit of a Inters pole potentially and see what's going on there. Let's get the track map and so on the board. But yeah, it's Talisber to do the first lap as he comes across the line now. It is a 1 minute 30, no, 1:29.9. Good lap on the intermediates. Good lap there, to be fair, as we see him come across the line. Who else have we got on a lap? We've got Arzim on a lap. Let's see what he can do. Of course, on the soft tyres here in the Alfa Romeo, beautiful Alfa Romeo car. Coming through Maggots and Becky's now. Car seemed a little bit lazy there, and then he almost loses the rear ends. That seemed a little bit problematic for the Alfa Romeo driver. But nevertheless, let's see, of course, purple in the sector. No surprises there, being on the soft tyres. Let's see what he can do into Stowe now. Great place to watch a Grand Prix. That is exactly where I was, at stand on the left-hand side. Well, the last 3 years of watching Formula 1 at the British Grand Prix, and a great view it is. Coming around the final few corners now through the club chicane. And let's see what he does as it comes down the final corner now. It's a 1 minute 25.5. Good initial lap from Arzem. He'll be happy with that one, I am sure. Let's see what the rest of the drivers are doing at the moment. We've got a few people on laps, of course, but most of them are on the intermediate tyres. What about Luke? What's he doing? His teammate, of course, currently P1 in 25.5. Let's see what the sister car can do as he comes across the line now. I don't think he's going to beat that time. No, he isn't. It's 25.9. 4 tenths is the gap to his teammate at the top. But, of course, we'll see the rest of the grid take shape, I'm sure, as the rest of this session goes on. So, 6 minutes gone in the session. Only had a few laps so far. A lot of the drivers taking their time to decide when to come out of the pits. Some of them do prefer to take their time. But nevertheless, I do think we'll have a quite interesting session as Jamie goes P3 on the intermediate tyres, and he's still getting intermediate pole at the moment. But like we mentioned, it's going to be a very much interesting session this, to see really. The drivers have so much more time to prepare, so much more laps to do in these sessions. Of course, it's not all go for broke in the first part of qualifying. It's very much just get your safety. And with a field so tightly packed as it is, it'll be really interesting to see what will happen. I'm sure the Alphas will prefer it if it stays like this for now, but unfortunately for them, a lot of the drivers have not done a time yet. So, got Erpek out at the moment on track. Of course, the AlphaTauri team have not got any points, unfortunately, yet this season. So I'm sure they will be looking to get some. Of course, Erpek, for anyone who isn't sure, is just a reserve driver, so you'll see him jump from team to team. So he does have 8 points actually this season so far, but none for the AlphaTauri team at the moment. I'm sure he'll want to change that for them this time out as it comes around the final few corners now. Let's see what he can do on the inters. Can he get intermediate pole? That's the question as it comes around the club chicane now. So easy to clip the curves on the inside and lose the rear end when you go through. But as he comes across the line now, it's 29.2. Not quite into his pole, but still quite a good lap for him, as we have some drivers now coming out. Of course, Igor, I mean, what can you say about this man? It seems every week he gets so close to almost being there, so close to fighting with his teammate and the rest of the drivers, and he just doesn't quite do it. He sometimes makes the wrong decisions, sometimes he just doesn't have the pace, and of course last time out, as we saw in Imola, he just made a mistake, could not get a lap in qualifying, and that made him start last. And of course when you start last in a field so tightly packed as this is, it made it so much harder for him to have a good race, and of course he retired from that point on. So he's going to have a brilliant race this time out if he wants to get back in this championship fight. Does the Mercedes driver. As you can see, he's using the brake pedal to warm up the tyres as well. Bit of a strategy you'll see a lot of the drivers do actually. It very much helps bring the tyres up to temperature without getting any graining or damage onto them. So it'll be interesting to see now when he comes across the line what time he can do. We'll definitely ride on board with him when we start the lap in a sector's time. Let's see what other drivers are currently on out laps as well at the moment. I believe Lars potentially, yes, he's about to start his lap in the Williams car. A prize are coming out as well. So as the Williams starts his lap now, let's see what he can do. Turns on his ERS as MP6 joins the session. And let's have a look here going through turns 1 and 2. Such brilliant corners to race here at the British Grand Prix. Incredible corners, really incredible circuit, of course, this year as well on the F123 game. It has been redesigned, of course, laser scan, which is what it's been needing for so long. Runs the car very wide there, does Lars. But it doesn't seem to have lost him too much time. Potentially that could have actually helped him in terms of getting the right exit there. Going through the first sector split now. What time is it going to be? It's 27.2. It is purple in the first sector so far. So he's looking to dislodge the Alfa Romeos from the top. Got a few cars in front of him. Hopefully they do get out of the way as well. They do indeed. As we've got Igor coming through the first sector split as well now, so let's keep an eye on him and see what he can do. We've also got the McLaren behind also, of I believe Talisman as well. Excuse me, NALN Walcott. So let's see what they're doing currently as well as we go through Maggots, Beckett's, Chapel. Such an... Oh, is he... I was just about to say, such an easy corner to make a mistake. Oh, and he spun! And thankfully for him, he's not quite going to meet the wall. but he definitely had a snap of oversteer there, and that is his lap over. That is not the way he's going to want to have completed it. Let's see what Walcott's doing as he comes through now. He's invalidated his time, so already in Q1 we've had some mistakes from the drivers. I've got Igor, he's invalidated also as well, yet again, like he did last time out, invalidates his lap, and that's going to cause him a lot of issues. But of course the drivers have more time now, and a little less problems in the sense of getting another lap in. Eagle carries on. I mean, potentially he's going for a push-cool push. He comes across the line at 25.7, so it wouldn't have been P1 at the moment anyway. Yanil as well going through the first sector. He's there or thereabouts. Zorzo starting his lap too. Justas, what can he do in the Haas? He wanted so much more from last time out in Imola. Couldn't quite make it, but here we are at the British Grand Prix now. What can he do? Comes through. Maggots Beckett and Chapelas Towers to put the 25.5 in. It's a purple middle sector for Justas at the moment. Looking like a 102 flat, maybe a 101.7-ish, probably if we push it to the absolute maximum. Let's see what he can do as he comes around the final few corners now. 2 to go. Comes through the club chicane. Such a hard corner to get right, but coming across the line now looking like a good time, and it is a 25.2. That's put him in provisional P1 at the moment in the session. Igor on a lap that is very much a cool down lap. What about Zorzo at the moment as well, as we've got a few drivers starting to come across the line? Have we got one of the Alpines coming through? Not quite yet, but what about Jamie? He's on his out lap, ready to start it, so is Igor giving Kagat a bit of a decision? Yes, he is. Let's see what the championship leader can do here in the Mercedes-Benz. Opens up his DRS now. There or thereabouts, yeah, exactly the same time as Justas. This is looking quick for Kwiatkowski. For the AlphaTauri gets out of the way as Mick goes P2 in the Williams, and then followed up by Zorzo taking that spot as well. Let's see what Kwiat can do. Can he get the Mercedes back onto the front of the session? Few more corners to go around the final corner now. It's looking like a good time for him. Coming across the line, yes, just about. Gets the fastest time. P1 currently for Kwiatkowski. He's put the gauntlet down. As you see some of the drivers here, what on earth is going on here? This doesn't look very safe from these drivers. Hopefully there's no foul play going on there. Vaporizer, only a 25.6. He's not going to be happy with that one. And a man who sure will be happy actually with that is Selly 360 on the medium tyres in the Aston Martin. Has put it into P6, 25.5. Good lap time in the end from the Aston Martin driver. As the drivers start to come in to the pit lane now. Of course, we've still got quite a few drivers who have not set a lap yet. Frankis has just started his lap. Of course, the man who is currently in P2 in the standings, excuse me, not P2, P3 in the standings. Of course, with Selly, excuse me, tell a lie, he is P2 in the standings. 26 points to Selly's 25. So as Jamie goes a 24.9, what a lap from CPI Jamie in the Red Bull, under the radar, I will say, for Jamie. Of course, Jamie isn't usually racing in the championship, but he is here with us this week. It is good to see. Let's see and hope that we've got another person fighting for a win this season. As like we mentioned before, Frank is coming through the second sector split sooner rather than later. Coming through Maggots, Beckett's Chapel now. Got him off as early as possible and run it wide. Opens up DRS. What's his split looking like? 102.1. That is not purple in the middle sector. It's annoying that the game still has that glitch, but still a good time nonetheless. If he comes across the line now, it should get him there or thereabouts with Gatkowski, Justas and Zorzo, as Erpek goes P2 as well. So these times coming down thick and fast now from the drivers. Round the final few corners now, what can he do? The man, of course, who finished second in that brilliant opening race for the team, comes across the line. It's a P5 at the moment, 25.3. But just look at the gap between the entire grid at the moment. Absolutely nothing in it. Look at that. A second separates the top 15 drivers currently, with Erpek and Gatkowski having the exact same time. Almost by 1,000th of a second. Absolutely incredible. Let's see if we're going to get a few laps now as well from Igor and so on. Selly as well. What will he be thinking at the moment? Yeah, he's 5/10 off the pace. Of course, on medium tyres though, so he has a lot of pace in hand. Will he go for another lap on the mediums? Will he be happy with that? Do you think potentially he might think that it's good enough in the Aston Martin? Be interesting to see, as we've got Igor out on track at the moment as well. Lars too, like we mentioned, Lars did have a spin earlier on in the session, thankfully kept it out of the wall, so he has more than enough time to do another lap. But this is it now. Once again, Igor, a man who in Australia was fighting for that victory, of course, at the latter end of the race, struggled to keep with the likes of Kwiatkowski and Vaporizer, but he was there, and then last time out, made a crucial error in qualifying. 3 laps he had deleted for track limits, which put him at the back of the grid. He has got the same situation in front of him again. He's only got time for 1 more lap as Frankis retires in the pits. He's happy with his time. That's going to give the likes of Justas, Gatkowski, Erpek and Jamie something to think about as well. Will they retire from the session? But Igor, at the moment, he needs to get a lap on the board in that Mercedes car. Erpek retires as well. He's more than happy. He's done and dusted for the session. But let's see what Igor can do. Turns the wick up to 100 around the final corner, starts his lap. And this is the lap that he has to make for the Mercedes-Benz driver as the retirement's now coming in thick and fast. Gatkowski still coming out for another lap. Justas is still in the session as well at the moment as well. But Francesco in the Ferrari, of course, filling in for Carl at the moment. Does a brilliant lap to get it in P7. But at the moment, we've got Igor, Lars and Walcott not putting a lap in at the moment. And Spicer has not got a good lap either. But he is there or thereabouts. Let's see what Igor can do. Coming around the first sector now into Luffield. Very hard corner to get the car turned in and then get on the throttle as early as possible. And then really through to a straight that isn't really a straight. And then he's getting a brilliant slipstream from his teammate. A lot of teamwork going on here at Mercedes. Absolutely brilliant to see this. Look at this. Absolutely perfect in tandem. No wonder Gatkowski came out again. He's given his teammate an absolutely brilliant slipstream, just as his teammate did for him on his lap, coming through Maggots and Beckett's now. What is the time going to be in the middle sector split for Igor? Surely it's going to be more than good enough, 2.3. So he's not quite there on the pace of the guys at the top, but he should get within Francesco, Zorzo and Frankis' time if he keeps here in this session. So as he comes around the final few corners now, we've got some more drivers starting to leave the session. We've got a few different drivers setting times. Nothing's changing too much at the moment. Around the final corner though for Igor, he needs this lap. Comes across the line. Only 15th. Only 15th for Igor. This could be another shock. What about Lars? He's just started his lap as well. Vaporizer has also just started his lap. But he is right behind Lars. And Lars, he's finished. He's finished. He's not going to do anything. Hagar's retired from the session, but there's going to be an absolutely massive upstep either way, because either way it's going to be Vaporizer or Igor that's out of this session. What about Kingsman? He's starting his lap as well. Let's see what he can do. Rick starts his lap just in time. What about Walcott? He's on a lap as well. But Igor is absolutely on the brink at the moment of being knocked out in Q1 and at the back of the grid again for the second race in a row. What's going to happen here then as Walcott comes through the middle sector split now? He's not quite on pace at the moment. I don't think he's going to be able to get out of Q1 with that lap. Kingsman, though, he's improving on his time. Rick is also about to come through the first sector split now. What can he do? He's up on his time as well. Vaporizer also up on his time. This is going to be massive. Final corner now for Walcott. What can he do in the McLaren car? I'm sure you don't want to be at the back of the grid on last place position. Comes across the line now. Can't do anything to improve. It is P20 at the moment. What about Vaporizer then? Round the final few corners. Can he knock Vaporizer? Yes, he can. He's into P5. And that is Igor out of qualifying before Q2 has even started. Kingsman round the final few corners now as well. What can he do as Lars is also out of the session? He did not get a good representative lap time in either. Kingsman round the final few corners now. What can he do in the Red Bull car? It looks like it's going to be a 26, only P19 at the moment, so Rick would be the only man to do anything, but he's invalidated his time as well. So it's going to be Igor, Lars, Rick, Kingsman and Walcott out in Q1, and yet again, another shock for the system. Igor in the Mercedes-Benz finished P3 in the first race of the season. After a horrible qualifying last time out, has had another horrible qualifying, and the big take from that session, the Mercedes driver who's so used to fighting at the front, so used to fighting for victories, is out of Q1 already at the British Grand Prix. Incredible. You can see there as well, Selly 360 just by the skin of his teeth made it through in P15 on those medium tyres. He won't want it to be that close in Q2. But the big take from that session, like we mentioned, Igor out in the Mercedes-Benz, even with the slipstream he had from his teammate. He just could not get a representative time in. But it just goes to show, though, look at that, from first place to 16th. 0.6 of a second. Incredible. Absolutely incredible from all drivers. But it is CPI Jamie who leads the way after Q1. But going to the back of the grid, like we mentioned, Igor out again in the Mercedes-Benz. Lars in the Williams. He'll have wanted better. Rick as well. He could have got out of qualifying if he hadn't invalidated his time. He would have pushed Selly 360 out. Kinksman as well. And Walcott closing the back end of the grid. And that is a shock for the ages to see those drivers out there. But this is what happens in Flashpoint. The league is so closely contested. You're not going to get any races that are closer contested than the ones you see in this league. Absolutely incredible. So we've got 10 seconds down, then Q2 starts. And we will see what the rest of the drivers can do in qualifying. And here we go. Q2 about to start now. So the driver is about to head out for Q2, like we mentioned. And like I said before, Igor out again of qualifying. Of course, last time out started last on the grid. This time it will be 16th, so a bit of an improvement on last time, but I'm sure he will not be happy with that at all. He wants to be fighting at the front, and he wants to be fighting, especially with his teammate, who he can't really allow to get away any more than he is doing at the moment. Because Kay Gatkowski, he will be the man that Mercedes decides to go with if Igor is not careful. But the driver's starting to come out onto the pits already. Selly 360 still got the medium tyres on, but I'm sure he'll be looking... I was going to say looking at getting sauce on, but no, once again, Selly 360 on the medium tyres. Does he believe he can get into Q3 on those tyres, or potentially it might just be a banker lap for the man in the Aston Martin? Interesting to see if he does get through to Q2 on mediums. That will be an absolute gauntlet thrown down by the reigning champion. Talisba leads the train at the moment of the cars out. Good to see that a lot of the drivers are coming out straight away this time. I'll be interested to see what the drivers can do in this session. We'll see the Red Bull go down the inside there. Yes, we do. I believe that is CPI Jamie. Yes, it is. In the Red Bull car. Great lap in the first session from Jamie. Interesting to see what he'll be able to do now for the rest of his qualifying session. Will he be able to get a pole position? That would be great to see if he could. In that Red Bull. So used to seeing that Red Bull at the top, of course, in real life. Especially after the season we've just had. If you're anything like me, I very, very much am glad the season is over and seeing the Red Bull domination. I very much prefer to see cars fighting, or wins and fighting at the front. But I'm sure any Max Verstappen or Red Bull fan would disagree with me on that one. As Jamie is about to start his flying lap. Got the Aston Martin behind of Zorzo as well, so it'll be interesting to see what he can do in the Aston Martin. Will he overtake him? Yes, he does actually. So Zorzo will be the first man to set a lap time on the board. But let's ride on board with Jamie for now and see what he can do. Of course, the man who topped Q1. What can the Red Bull driver do in Q2? Potentially has some worn tyres on for a banker. We're not too certain. But I'll be interested again to see Selly 360's time as well on those medium tyres. But Jamie starts his lap now. Down towards turn 1 we go. Of course, in these cars it's no problem, completely flat out. You'll see the throttle absolutely pinned through turn 1 and turn 2. Of course, when we go into the village section here, where it gets a little bit more twisty, a little bit more technical for the drivers. Through the hairpin now, onto the first DRS straight, of course, through this little left-handed kink. Open that DRS and then flick up the gears as we go to the end of Sector 1. It's a 27.1 purple so far. Of course, only Zorzo who's done a sector in front of him, but it is purple currently for CPI Jamie in at the Red Bull car number 7. As we come around Luffield now, keeps it just within track limits. And then onto, of course, the old pit straight, the National Straight, as we go towards the mighty Cops Corner now. 200 miles an hour as he chucks it in, and the nose just sticks to the ground like it's designed to do so. Through Maggots, Beckett's into Chapel. Absolutely brilliant set of corners, arguably the best in the world as he comes around and opens up that DRS, and it's a 102 flat. Brilliant middle sector again from the Red Bull man, coming through towards Stowe Corner now, named after the village that is just a stone's throw away from it, as we come into the new section of track when this was redesigned in 2010. Of course, used to be a long sweeping corner for Club, but he got a bit more of a kink this time. It's 25.4 from Zorzo, but instantly a 25.1 for Jamie. Another brilliant time from him. Talisba P3, 25.7. What about the rest of the drivers at the moment? Got an Aston Martin, of course, with Selly coming across the line now. P4, 26.2. He's going to need to do another lap time, I'm sure, to get through. Justas still in the pits at the moment. His teammate of Vaporizer, though, does go P2. As we got one of, I believe, the Williams, the Alpines coming around the final corner. It is Frankis, but he has invalidated his time to 26 flat anyway, so it wasn't a good representative time from him for the man second in the championship at the moment. And we've got the two Ferraris queuing with each other in the pit lane. But as the early times come in, once again, it is CPI Jamie putting the gauntlet down. And it's a brilliant lap from him. But what about the AlphaTauri now? Of Yanil. Comes round the final few corners. What can he do in that AlphaTauri? Through Club Corner now. And it's going to be a representative time from the AlphaTauri man. Comes across the line to 25.5. Puts him in P4 at the moment. There or thereabouts. Exactly a tenth behind Zorzo. What about the rest of the drivers? Justas on his out lap now. Mick about to end his lap as well. Had a good session in Q1. What can he do as he comes across the line? 25.9. Not quite thereabouts yet. Erpek as well coming through Sector 1. Of course, Frankis invalidated his time, so he's going to need to do another lap, definitely. Erpek, though, through Sector 1 now, of course, needs to get a lap time on the board to make sure he doesn't need to worry for the rest of the session. Opens up that DRS, coming through the end of the first set, so now 27.2 in the AlphaTauri. Wound Luffield now, and Brooklands, of course, coming onto that old pitch straight through towards Copse Corner. Let's ride on board with the AlphaTauri man and just watch him as he absolutely chucks it into this corner at 200 miles an hour. Just about holds on. Car in front, thankfully, does get out of the way. Now into some of the fastest strip of tarmac in the world. Maggots, Beckett, Chapel. Let the car run out wide. Get the throttle as early as possible. Pin it to the line. Open that DRS. Nick a little bit of slipstream from the teammate that has just gone there behind us. A 2.1 in the middle sector for Erpek. So this is a good time as well. This could get him around the second or third currently in this session. Just this little complex to go now into the club complex. Lock up slightly as he goes through, but the car is sticking nice. A bit tentative on the throttle, coming around the final few corners now, but what can he do? Comes across line 25.2, great time. Puts him within 1/10 of Jamie in P1 at the moment. Good time from him as Justas starts his lap as well. And Kay Gatkowski, purple in the first sector from the Mercedes man. I think he knows he's got a bit more competition this time out if he wants to get pole position. Kay Gatkowski now coming through. Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. Like we mentioned, such brilliant racing track this. So amazing to drive, but it's so hard to find the limit of the circuit. Sometimes it feels like you are on the limit, but then one lap you'll then put another lap in and get 2/10 off your time. You just don't usually see it. You need to have practice, you need to have precision, which of course is something we know Kay Gatkowski has a lot of in hand. Around the final few corners now. What can the Mercedes man do? I'm sure he'll want this to be his one and only lap for Q2. Save the tyres for Q3, and of course the race comes around the final corner now onto the straight, and it is P2 at the moment. Again, very close with the rest of the field, but I'm sure that will get him into Q2 safely. Jamie on another outlap as well, so he's not happy with this time. He wants another go. He wants another bite at the cherry. Zorzo on an outlap as well. Of course, we have Justas coming around the final few corners now as well. What can the Haas driver do? Can he get somewhere there or thereabouts with his teammate coming across the line? It's looking like a very good time for Justas, and it is. It's 24.9. Puts him in P1 provisionally. What a time from the man in the Haas. I did say he's a very fast driver, and he's showing that at the moment. And at the moment, Selly 360, of course, he put the mediums on, wanted to see what he potentially could do. Already in P11, now P12, as Luke puts a great lap in. The Alfa Male gets him into the top 10 currently. Arzem now down into P11. But Selly, Spicer, Frankis, and of course Francesco need to put some good laps in. The two Ferraris, of course, don't want to be out in Q2 with that really nice livery that is on the Ferrari at the moment in the game. Francesco just starting his lap at the moment. Spicer, though, coming around the final corner. Let's see what he can do in the Ferrari. Can he get in the top 10? Yes, he can. P5. What a time for the man in the Ferrari. That's put a gauntlet down. Only 1,000th of a second behind Erpek as well. Brilliant time from the man in the Ferrari. Doing the Tifosi proud is Spicer at the moment. Selly is on his outlap. Frankis is as well. About Francesco, though. Interesting to see what he'll be able to do in the sister Ferrari. Coming around Copse corner now. Full throttle, like we say. No need to worry there. Doesn't carry as much speed in, though. That tells me he's got a bit more downforce on the car than his teammate potentially might have. Through Maggots, Beckett and Chapel now. Opens up the DRS sooner rather than later. Just about now. As we go through, it's a 101.8. What a time in the middle sector from Francesco. This is going to be a brilliant time if he can hold it together coming around the final few corners. Round Stowe corner now. And into the club section. Will this put Francesco in the conversation for pole position? When we get to Q3, he loses it a bit though there. Must have lost a bit of time as he comes right there. But this should be a good time from Francesco as he comes across the line. Now, what can it be? It's a 25 flat. And that is after losing time as well. What a time from the man in the Ferrari. And I'm sure the Tifosi will be very, very happy with that one. P2 currently. But there's definitely time on the board in that Ferrari. And it's a good session so far for him. As we've got Erpek on an outlap, I think slowed all the way down to make sure he was out of the way of somebody else. Talisba as well, he's up on his time, so it'll be interesting to see what he can do. Selly 360 as well, and Arzem. So let's see what these guys can do. Talisba through Copse corner now, the first of the three on circuit, as Jamie puts another fastest lap in, 24.8. He wants to be top in all three sessions, and we're seeing that there now, as Talisba 4/10 up on his time. It's a 101.8. These times are coming down, and they are coming down thick and fast. Let's see what the rest of the drivers can do then as Talisba comes around the final few corners now. This could put him there or thereabouts for first, second and third in this session currently. Oh, as he locks up, that's going to last him a little bit of time there as he comes around the final few corners, but he needs to get this lap in to make sure he is not out in Q2. Comes across the line to 25 flat. Good time in the end from him. Selly, though, puts in the fastest lap of the session. I was just about to see what he could do. Arzem as well. What can he do? Oh, he almost loses it coming around the final corner, and that's meant that he's lost time. He has put a better time in, but it's only P10 at the moment. What about Frankis then? He's the only man not to do a time at the moment. And with time in the session running out, these drivers need to get out sooner rather than later to make sure they get in some good laps in, but the times are just coming down thick and fast. You look at a man like Vaporizer, for example, usually fighting out for pole position, but seemingly struggling in this session at the moment. He's got a Red Bull, just thankfully getting off the racing line at the moment there. Frankis, though, through the middle sector split now, and it's a 101.8 again as well. So this man, Frankis, of course, second in the championship at the moment. He is again there or thereabouts. And this could be an absolutely titanic fight for pole position in the end. When we get to Q3, Frankis can hold this together now into the final few corners. You saw the rear wheels lock up there, but it didn't look anything untowards for the Alpine driver. Comes around the final corner now. It's looking like a quick one. Can he get in the 24s? No, he can't quite. It's a 25 flat, the exact same time as Francesco. And that is putting him in P6 at the moment in the session. But just look at the times on the board. P1 to P10 is 4/10 of a second. And just look at that as well. 1,000th of a second separates Selly 360 and Jamie first and second place. Absolutely incredible. If it's anything like this for the final part of qualifying in Q3, this will be something we'd all love to watch. But the times are just so close between the drivers. See a driver 2.5 tenths off the pace and still in P7. Incredible. Incredible. What a great lobby we have here tonight. As Justas, he retires from the session. He wants nothing more to do with it. He thinks he can't improve, or he thinks he'll definitely be safe. Either way, he is out of the session. What about the rest of the drivers? Gatkowski on an outlap. He needs a good lap to make sure he's safe, as does Erpek as well, who's just starting his lap at the moment in the AlphaTauri. Thankfully the Ferrari gets out of the way. Into the village section we go now. Erpek using the car's turning power, the velocity of the torque to get the car through, opens up the DRS as some of the drivers now starting to retire from the session. Frankis in P6, he's happy with that time. He doesn't think it's going to be beaten. He does not think he's going to be out in Q2. Francesco on an outlap as well. But the top 6, 4 of which have retired, do look safe at the moment. Selly 360 doesn't want anything more from the session either. Francesco potentially will see out. Spicer as well, be interested to see what he can do. Let's ride again with Erpek in the middle sector and see what he can do in the AlphaTauri. That looks a bit twitchy there, going through Maggots and Beckett's, but he is up on his time, 101.9. That is not purple. Again, don't know why the game still does that, but he is there or thereabouts. If he gets a good time in, this could put him around 7th or 8th. Of course, the field is just so tightly packed at the moment, but it comes around the final few corners. Now, this is last chance saloon for Erpek. What can he do? He's P9 currently. Can he improve on his time? He's come around the final corner. Can he do anything to dislodge someone? Yeah, he can do more than that. He's P5 at the moment, only 1/10, or just under 2/10, should I say, off the pace. Great time in the end. And Arzem, he's retired from the session, so he's definitely out. Spicer, what can he do? Is Janil's up on his time. Luke coming through the middle sector as well. What can he do? He's a 102.1. Doesn't look like he's going to be quite beyond pace for that at the moment. But Spicer, be interested to see what he can do. Oh, as we got Janil, no, he's off. And he is out of the session. He lost the rear end. And we've seen it happen so many times. What about Luke, though, round the final corner? Will he be able to get into Q2? Potentially, as it comes across the line. No, it's only P11. Pushes his teammate down one more. Now all eyes turn to Vaporizer. Of course, as Mick can only go P11 as well. He can't do anything about it. Now we turn to Vaporizer. What can he do in the Haas? Of course, last time out, he was on the front row. At the first race of the season, he was on pole position. This would be another massive shock if he is not into Q3 at the moment round the fast sweeping corners now. What can the Haas driver do as we come through the middle sector split now? He's there or thereabouts. It's going to be very close for him. He needs a good time. Spicer finishes as well. So like I say, all the eyes now turn to Vaporizer in the Haas. Can he get that car into Q3, where I'm sure he'll expect himself to be anyway? Round the final few corners, the car looks a bit lazy as it comes through, but it looks like he's just about going to make it as he comes across the line into the 24s. Yes, and he gets P5, and that pushes Spicer and the Ferrari out of qualifying. And just by the skin of his teeth, Vaporizer with that last dash lap makes it into Q3. But it is Spicer, Mick, Luke, Arzem and Janil who are out in Q2 here at the British Grand Prix. Again, such a tight session. I mean, look at that. 1st to 11th, under 4/10 of a second, and 1st to 15th, 7/10. This league is just so contested, so close contested, should I say. Absolutely brilliant racing. We will see, of course, when the session is over. Of course, just waiting for Erpek now to retire from the session. Hopefully he does so soon, because if not, we're going to be waiting another minute, which will be very frustrating, but I think he is waiting the minute. But again, what a brilliant session from the drivers. Vaporizer, like we mentioned, just making it into Q3. Of course, P5 in the end, so not too much of a problem for him. Of course, at the time, I'm sure he was a little bit nervous in that Haas. But like we say, Selly 360, he set the fastest time of the session overall by 1,000th of a second from CPI Jamie. And then Justas again, P3, keeping himself under the radar, but getting in to the session when it counts. And look at the top 4. Less than 1/10 of a second separate Selly, Jamie, Justas and Zorzo. That's where we're looking like the fight is going to be. Then Vaporizer in 5th, Erpek 6th, Gatkowski not quite being there at the moment. Let's see what he can do in the Mercedes. Can he pull something back? Because at the moment, the championship leader is struggling a little bit in this session. Francesco in P8, Frankis 9th, and Talasberg in 10th. Then is Spicer, Mick, Luke, Arzem and Janil, who are out in Q2 here at the British Grand Prix. So, as we head into Q3 now, 10 drivers left in the session, And the top four separated by less than a tenth of a second in Q2. So this will be very, very exciting to see. What will we have happen? Here we go. So, as we listen to a few of the announcers' facts, I mean, you can tell Codemasters don't like to update anything because he's talking, as you can see, about 2018, which is really annoying. But nevertheless, back into Q3, back in the room. Justas out. And Selly360, the man who won last time out, the man who topped Q2, he'll be looking for another pole position here. And he's getting out of the way. He does not want to lead. It's going to be, I believe, Justas. It is, in the Haas car, who's going to lead them through and do his lap first. Selly wanting to get right to the back of this queue. He does not want anything to do with the rest of the drivers. So, Justas, the man in the Haas, of course, finished P3 in the previous session. Last time out, had a terrible result in the race, of course, crashed, which caused a safety car to come out just before the Tamburello chicane, I believe just after the Tamburello chicane, I should say, which caused him to be out of the Grand Prix and caused the first safety car. He comes around the final few corners now, and we start what potentially could be the lap of his life. Justas 12 around the final few corners now, about to start his lap. Let's ride on board with the Haas driver and see what he can do now. Of course, opens up the tap, put all the power down. You'll see that battery start to drain itself as we come towards turn 1, 190 miles an hour. Don't need to worry about lifting the throttle all through turn 2. Then keep it to the left-hand side. Use the curb as you dare, and then run it slightly wide there. There's a bit of time left on the board there for the Haas driver. The exit is quite good from this set of corners here, though. Through the kink now, open up the DRS, up through the gears. Again, you'll see the energy will start to drain, and through the first sector, it is a 27 flat into Brooklands now. Want to get a late apex, as he does. Runs it wide, then into Luffield. Kind of V the corner. It helps you get a better exit. It uses all the track possible, and then of course into the old start finish straight. Doesn't want to get too close to the inside there. Uses all the track on the left here to open up cops as much as possible. Nicely done. Absolutely flat out. Now into Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. Just watch this. Through, jumps into the corner. Doesn't need to worry about the car sticking. It will always stick into there. There's so much downforce on these modern generation cars. Opens up that DRS. And then in the middle six, it's a 101.8. Now we have seen better times in Q2 from the drivers, but let's see what happens now as he comes through into Stowe. Opens up the throttle earlier, and now into what feels like a very clumsy chicane at the end of the lap. Locks up slightly, but doesn't seem to have lost him too much time. Nice line through that final few corner, actually. As we come across the line now, will it be a 24 from Justas? Oh, it definitely will be. It's a 24.7. What about the rest of the drivers coming across the line then? Selly360, can he improve on that? The man who won last time out, coming across the line, can't quite beat him, but it's so close at the top. It's a 24.786, can't quite do better. Erpek though, even closer, 0.004 of a second in the AlphaTauri. He's almost on pole position, but not quite. What about Talisman? What can he do in the McLaren? It's only P4 at the moment, and not a representative time from him, 25.4. What a time initially from the drivers in the top three. As we see, Vaporize now about to start his lap. What can the rest of the drivers do? Frankis on his lap now as well. Is this going to be a representative time from the Alpine man? Round Stowe corner we go. We can see him soaring at the wheel. Had to get 3 or 4 takes at that one. A few bites at the cherry as he comes into the club section now. Around the final few corners. What can he do in that Alpine? Can he get somewhere near the front row? Oh, he almost gets a 24, but it's a 25 flat from the Alpine man. Not quite there at the moment. Then what about the championship leader, Kwiatkowski? Been nowhere so far in qualifying. Can he pull a lap out the bag, though? As he come across the line, it's looking like a good lap. It is. It's a 24.9. That puts him in P4. Bit of damage limitation for him at the moment. Zorzo has actually invalidated his time. Jamie is on an outlap. And Vaporizer is now... So 24.8 it would have been from Zorzo, so he would have been in P4 at the moment. But look at the top three there. Absolutely incredible. 100th of a second separate first, second and third. And that just sums up Flashpoint for me. Such a close league. So many close races. What about Vaporizer then? Again, not quite been there this qualifying session, but we come through the middle sector split now to 101.8. Again, there or thereabouts. This could be close to getting pole position. Let's see what he can do. Round Stowe corner now. Into the final section, of course. He wants to be at the top. Vaporizer does not care about finishing 5th, 6th and 7th. He wants to be on the podium places. Round the final few corners now. What can the man in the Haas do? It's a 24.9. Can't quite beat the man that he was fighting for the win in Australia, Kwiatkowski, in P4. But it is only P5 at the moment for Vaporizer. Zorzo, like we mentioned, has not got a representative time on the board. What about Jamie then? What can he do? Of course, the man in Q1 who was leading the way. A bit lazy on the initial turn in there. Well, let's see what the man in the Red Bull can do. Coming around now, opens up that DRS. He's going to steal a bit of slipstream, I'm sure. Yes, he does. You can see it there. Stealing slipstream from Kwiatkowski. Coming through now into Stowe corner. What can he do? He looked so... Oh, I was going to say he looked on rails, but he's lost the rear end, and that's going to cost him so much time. Into club now. This has got to be a damage limitation lap, surely, from the man in the Red Bull. The rear is absolutely all over the place as he comes across the line, though. It was looking good, I must say, and he's done it. 24.7, even with the rear end flying out. And just look at the top four. Less than 300ths of a second separate first, second, third, fourth. And this is Flashpoint. That is what it's all about. Absolutely incredible racing from them all. As Vaporizer, usually I'm sure 1/10 off the pace in Q3, he would not be expecting to be P6 on the grid, but that is just how close the sessions are here in Flashpoint. Look at that. Jamie in P1, 24.758, 100th of a second back to Justas. Then Urpek, only 5,000ths of a second back from him. And then Selly 360 again, another 1100ths of a second back in P4. Absolutely incredible. Zorzo and Francesco in the end couldn't put laps on the board. We have one more lap from these drivers to go. But it is absolutely line astern at the moment. These drivers fighting with their lives, it feels like. And they are absolutely performing for us at the moment. 24.7. What a lap in the end by Jamie. But it just goes to show every single week you don't really know who's going to be competitive. I mean, look at Kwiatkowski, look at Vaporizer. They're only a 10th off the pace, but they're down in 5th and 6th. Selly 360, 200ths of a second off the pace, the reigning champion. But he's down in P4. So it'll be very interesting to see what they can do in the final few minutes of this session. As Jamie coming in now, looks like his car is out of fuel. Yes, it is at the moment. That just goes to show he's using absolutely everything. It looked like going through Stowe, though. He really lost a bit of time. The rear end stepped out. He's got a very pointy car, it seems, this week, does Jamie. As we've got Selly 360 now. He's going to be the first man out of the pits to start his final lap around the British Grand Prix circuit here in Flashpoint Season 5. I mean, he'll be saying to himself, look, all I need to do is improve by 300ths of a second and I'll have pole position. Of course, that is so much easier said than done in sim race. For anyone out there who isn't really a sim racer, the margins are so fine. And the Aston Martin team will be absolutely eager to see Selly back on pole position after his brilliant race last week, which put him right back into the title fight. But currently, like we mentioned, it's been a struggle for Selly to get into the top three, or to get near pole position. But he's still so quick. Anybody, absolutely anybody in this top 10 could steal pole position away as they all come out of the pits now. They could all steal pole position from under the nose of anyone. Look at the top 6. Look at the top 7, separated by under 2.5 tenths. This qualifying session is not over yet, and you have joined us at the perfect time if you're joining us right about now to see what these drivers can do. So, as Vaporizer retires from the session in the pits, interesting, he is not looking to do another lap, and it's only going to be P6 for NSX Vaporizer. Maybe he does not have the tyres for it, but he does not feel that he has any more in the bag to get better than that. So the man who started in P2 last week and P1 for the first race of the season is now out in P6. Selly 360, this is the man we're focusing on at the moment. Let's see what he can do round the first few corners now. The car just seems so planted, doesn't it? It looks like he's got no issues at all planting the throttle. Opens up DRS now. Let's see what he can do. Can he improve on his first sector split now? Coming through, he is up by 0.04 of a second. And of course, any time he can improve by will be massive for him in this session. It could be the difference between being on pole position and being stone dead last in 10th. So let's see now as we come through the middle sector. Flat out through cops, like I was mentioning before. No need to worry in these cars. Just use all the track as possible as he does. Bit of a twitch on exit, but didn't seem to be too much of a problem. Now let's see what he can do through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. Look at this camera angle here. You'll see how quickly the car changes direction. Look at that. The speed is absolutely unmatched anywhere around the world. Opens up that DRS. He is up by 300ths. Not a purple middle sector, but he's there or thereabouts. His Selly 360. He just needs to keep it together for the last few corners, and he will be putting this car on provisional pole position. Round the final few corners now. A few of the cars need to get out of the way, and they do, thankfully for him. Round the final corner now. What can the man in the Aston Martin do? Loses the rear end slightly. Comes around the final corner though. Is it going to be good enough for pole position? Yes, it is. Just by 0.07 of a second as Jamie starts his lap as well. It's going to be Justas next. He's down by 0.08 of a second. He needs to find 0.02 of a second to improve and to get there. Coming through now. He's up by 0.06. It's a purple middle sector from the man in the Haas. Let's see what he can do now. Round the final few corners. It's going to be so close. Such fine margins for the drivers to see who gets pole position here this time out at Silverstone. Round the final few corners now. A few stabs of the wheel for Justas. It looks good. It doesn't look too clumsy. Round the final corner. Can he put it back on pole position? Yes, he can. It's a 7.2. Incredible from him. Now it's Frankis round the final few corners. What can the man in the Alpine do? Of course, he's still second in the championship, let's not forget. If he's improved quite a bit, he could put it into contention for the front row as well. What can he do as he comes across the line? Oh, it's so close. It's P3 at the moment. Look at the times. They're so close. The Ferrari comes around the final corner as well. What can he do? It's P8 at the moment. Talisba, P9. Gatkowski, though. What can the championship leader, do? He's used all his deployment. It's P7. Only P7 for Gatkowski. Zorzo as well, 101.7. This is on track. This is on track for pole position. What can Zorzo do? Can he sneak something from under the noses of Justas, Selly and Frankis? Round the final corner now. What can he do? Coming across the line. Oh, it's P2, only just. What about Jamie, though? He's up on his time. This could be incredible. And it is pole position. What a time from CPI Jamie, 24.5. He kept everything until the end. And he absolutely did a brilliant lap in the end, and Jamie, after seemingly going under the radar in Q2, under the radar after his first lap in Q3, puts it on pole position. What a session. And in the end, only 0.3 that separates everybody in the session. Absolutely incredible from everybody. And it is CPI Jamie on pole position, followed by Justas. Zorzo beats out his teammate by 1/100th of a second. But I think if I was Selly 360, I would actually be quite happy with that one, because his main championship rival at the moment, Kei Gatkowski, is only down in P8 in the session. Frankis as well, I'm sure he'll take that, P5. I'm sure some of the drivers will be looking at themselves thinking, oh, if only I didn't make this mistake, it could have been pole position. But it's only one man who can take pole position, and it is this man, it's CPI Jamie in the Red Bull. What a time in the end. And after everything is said and done, the British Grand Prix, of course, qualifying always sets us up for a brilliant race. And if it's anything like that qualifying session was, this could be absolutely brilliant. It is CPI Jamie on pole position at 24.559. I mean, what can you say? That is absolutely incredible speed from the Red Bull driver. Then the Haas of Justas in P2, Zorzo third, Selly, of course, the man who won last time out, beaten by his teammate this time, Zorzo in P4. And then Frankis in 5th, of course, second in the championship at the moment, Erpek in 6th, Talisba 7th, Gatkowski 8th, Vaporizer 9th, and then the Italian Francesco in the Ferrari rounds out the top 10 here at the British Grand Prix. But what a session. Oof. Incredible. I've almost lost my voice already, and the race hasn't even started yet. Oh, I had to get a bit of a water down me then, because that is absolutely dried my throat out massively. Is that session? It looks like at the moment, I was just about to say, will it be raining? And yes, it is once again, as it was last time out in Imola. It is raining once more at the British Grand Prix. Very normal for it to rain in England, so I'm not surprised to see that. But yeah, I'm just getting my voice ready. Excuse me. But we are here. The driver's just getting ready now. Of course, no formation lap, so we'll go straight into it. But for anyone wondering, anyone who wasn't with us for the first two races, it was Gatkowski who won the first race of the season, and it was Selly 360, the reigning champion, who took it last time out in Imola. Will we see a new winner? Will we see Gatkowski extend this championship? Will we see the likes of Selly, Frankis bring it back? We'll find out soon enough, because the lights are on. And in Silverstone, the British Grand Prix is underway. It's a drive-through penalty for Spicer. That's not what he's going to want it to see. But because of that, Talisba, look at him. What a start from the man in the McLaren. But he's got a drive-through penalty as well. And that's meant that the driver who's leading in P1 is not quite thereabouts at the moment. Jamie got a good start though, as did Justas. Look at Selly though. He's trying to go around the outside. Oh, it's Talisba. Goes wide as well. He's going to try and get through on the inside, Selly, of his teammate, and he is doing. But he's also trying to go on the inside of Justas. Looks like they're going to be side by side going through. Oh, it's so close to contact, but they're keeping it side by side. It's a good start in the end, but we've got three drivers who've already jumped the start. And into Brooklands we go. Can Selly get a move on Justas? Not quite, but it's a bit of contact. This is absolutely crucial for his Grand Prix. Round the outside, does the reigning champion? No, can't quite do it. Justas just keeps him. He must absolutely be hating seeing those two Aston Martins behind him. Now Zorzo on the attack. Can he get down the inside of his teammate? It looks like he will do. A bit of battling in the background as well. Gatkowski. Oh, and the side by side, the two Aston Martins. Bit of bumping, bit of barging, but they look to be keeping it nice and clean at the moment. Who's going to win out on this one? Zorzo still side by side and two Aston Martins, and Selly looks to have won out just in the end, does. And Erpek and Gatkowski battling it out as well. Vaporizer in 9th with that jump start, and Francesco in 10th keeps his starting position at the moment. Igor, great start from him, as we got some battling from Gatkowski up front. Will we see him trying around the outside of Erpek? Bit more grip on the outside line. Not quite able to do it. Will he try and get a dive down the inside as well? Those who go into the club section, no he won't, but one person who is definitely doing a bit of a dive, it's Igor going through as we've got some drivers into the pits. Vaporizer, once again, another penalty for him, causes issue as side by side, Igor goes, oh, he's pushed off the track by Luke, just about keeps it on. But Igor, once again, he's not taking any prisoners this week. He's learned his lesson. He needs to get these moves done, and he needs to get them done quickly. Down the inside, will he go? Yes, he does. Into the village section. And already, this is not something you'd have expected to see if you were Gatkowski. He has got his teammate right behind him instantly. In the Mercedes, he almost loses the rear end. But Gatkowski down a position, Igor up. And Jamie has got a brilliant lead at the front already. Just look at those positions changed. As we go through. Talisba up 5, but of course got a drive-through penalty. Igor, look at that, up 6 positions already from the start. What a brilliant start from him. But once again, it is Vaporizer who's made the mistake, and he's down in 19th. He's throwing away so many points in this early stage of the season. Igor, though, kind of settling down now behind his teammate. Gatkowski, though, he's not settling down. He's right on the back of the Ferrari of Francesco. And I'm sure he's going to want to move through as quickly as possible, because he is seeing his championship lead fade in the distance with the likes of Jamie, Selly, Zorzo and Frankis outscoring him at the moment, using his energy recovery, but he knows he just doesn't have seemingly the straight line speed. I mean, look at that, look at the Ferrari just driving away from him. And Gatkowski not got the straight line speed at the moment, as we see some battling going on. Justas and Selly, yes. Selly is now up into P3. And the reigning champion, the man who won last time out in similar conditions in Imola, is now up into 3rd place in the Grand Prix. Jamie, though, what a brilliant start from him. Talisbury, we expect to see him at the end of this lap, of course, to get his... I was about to say he looked very wide there, and he does get a 3-second time penalty, and it's been a terrible opening few laps for the McLaren man after that drive-through penalty. Gatkowski, though, down the inside of Francesco. Francesco runs slightly wide there, and that's helps him keep the position. Will he get a bit of a switchback, though, Gatkowski? I'm sure his teammate will want to help through this point as well. He does get through Gatkowski. What a move. And in the end, as Francesco loses the rear end once again, this is going to put Igor right in the back of him, kind of using a bit of a slipstream from his teammate, but the Ferrari's just so quick in a straight line. Oh, as he hits Gatkowski. Gatkowski just about keeps on the track, but Francesco in the Ferrari hits the back of Gatkowski. Thankfully, doesn't seem to have done any damage to him or Gatkowski's car, but that has meant that Igor's down on the inside through, and the Mercedes are now up to 8th and 9th, line astern. You can see them there. The two dark horses, really, the Silver Arrows. Oh, as Igor gets a much better exit than his teammate. Surely he can go side by side through here, can he? No, he does not. Thinks better of it, but at the moment, Igor just seems to have a bit more pace than Kate Gatkowski. Igor didn't have the best qualifying, but he seems to be having a good race now. As DRS is enabled, interestingly. Even though, of course, we are in wet racing conditions, the two Mercedes-Benz, though, this really is a massive fight when you think about it, because the two Mercedes are some of the quickest drivers in the lobby, and Igor is going to want to put one over on his teammate, as we've got Talisbury into the pits to serve his drive-through penalty, and that's going to release the likes of Selly and Justas as well. Can they get onto the back now of CPI? Jamie is already out of ERS. Selly 360. Jamie, though, got basically an entire battery. The drivers starting slowly to fall back into their positions. Let's get the tyres on now, as we've got NL Walcott on soft tyres at the moment. Interesting. Of course, DRS is open. That would suggest, as Gatkowski gets down the inside actually of Erpek as well, he just gets the move done, and Mick gets through on the inside as well of Luke. So the DRS is most definitely helping to get these overtakes done. Look at the two Mercedes, though. Oh, as Igor loses the rear end, and oh my god, he's absolutely pushing that Mercedes, isn't he? He wants to get past this AlphaTauri as well. He wants to get up there with his teammate. As we go through Cops now, down 2 gears. We're looking at the times that ANL Walcott, puts in, because himself and Spicer have now gone on to dry tyres. At the moment, it still seems a little bit too soon. They are losing a bit of time, but it's not too much. We're definitely at a crossover point. What here can Igor do, though? Look at this. He just doesn't seem to have the straight line speed. It's going to be a bit of a dive if he goes down the inside of Stowe. Can't quite make the move stick. Azorzo does get the move done on Frankis, though. So the Aston Martin driver didn't quite get the best start. Lost out with his teammate as Igor goes down the inside as well. Can he get the move stuck? Not quite. Side by side, though. Oh, he's getting pushed wide once again. Pushed off the circuit. He's not going to be happy about that. Erpek not willing to give him any time of day. He wants that position. Of course, he was racing in the Red Bull for the first race of the season, and he had a lot of pace. Let's see, though, will Igor try and go down the inside? Not quite once again, but you can see now the track is drying up very quickly, and a lot of the drivers you'll see there in the back going into the pits now and starting to put dry tyres on. They want the undercut on everybody else, and this is going to be horrible for Igor, because not only is he stuck behind Erpek, but he also has his teammate to queue behind as we go into the pits now, and you can see that's put Francesco right in the back of them, as well as Walcott does make a few positions up now, because of course he has warm tyres, and in the end vaporize. I mean, look at that, 20 seconds off the pace, and he has to make another pit stop as well, and the drivers are right behind him. But it is Mick who leads out of the dry runners at the moment. Let's see what Jamie, Selly and Justas do. They have closed that gap slightly to Jamie in the Red Bull. Look at that now, only a second separates first and second place. Frankis still on the back of Zorzo, Gatkowski on the back of this group as well. And Francesco, who has got through on Igor actually. As Igor made a mistake, he must have done. The Mercedes driver once again behind the Ferrari after the battling that they had at the start of the race. But I'm sure we'll see a lot of the cars now peel into the pit lane. Igor knows he's going to have to stay out for another lap. Oh, he's going to be losing so much time. He locks up going into the final chicane. And Igor is going to be ruining this, because he's going to lose so much time on the intermediate tyres. But But everybody comes into the pits now. Let's see what tyres they put on. Jamie going for the softs. Is he going to be held? No, he doesn't get held. That was very close. Very close between these drivers. What about Justas? Will he get held? A man who's definitely going to get held is Zorzo behind his teammate. Does get held. Selly comes out, as does Justas. So everybody at the moment doesn't seem to be getting held. But looking at this now, the two teammates at AlphaTauri being held as well. What about Arzem? What about the rest of the drivers? I mean, look at this now. They're coming through. And after all this, it looks like as Luke goes through, will he get up on a few of these drivers? Yes, he most definitely will. Look, as the drivers come through now, Luke is absolutely flying up there in P6. I mean, just look at the amount of cars that are battling it out at the moment. And as everything settles down, as the dust settles, Luke has made a lot of positions up thanks to that. Kwiatkowski down in 9th. Zorzo, though, look at that, down in 12th. After all that, of course, he had to queue behind his teammate. From being in P5, he's now down to P12 as Justas gets through. Excuse me, as Luke gets through on Frankis as well. But after all is said and done, I mean, once again, oh, what do we say about Igor as well? Look at the amount of time he's losing already in that Mercedes. He's going to be falling like a stone down this grid as Mick gets a 3-second time penalty already. That's massive as well. But look at this now, into the pits we finally go with Igor, and let's see what the Mercedes man can do. Is he almost speeds into the pit lane? Doesn't, though, thankfully for him in the end. But look at this, Selly 360 as well, out of the RS already. Got a lot of battling going on up and down the field. Be interesting to see if Francesco gets down the inside. Yes, he does, of ANL Walcott, should I say. We've got a yellow flag in the middle sector. It's for one of the, I believe, yeah, AlphaTauris. Don't think that's going to cause a safety car. But at the moment, let's see where Igor comes out in the moment in the Mercedes. I mean, oh, it's going to be so awful for him. Just look at that entire gaggle of cars as Luke does the fastest lap of the race. He's going to come out right at the back of this group. And Igor, from battling it out with his teammate in P8, is now down into P12. And it's going to be even worse than that when the rest of the drivers come out. Look at this now. He's down into P14, P15 in the end. And it's going to have to be a brilliant recovery drive from Igor to get anything from this Grand Prix. But Jamie, on them soft tyres, is pulling this gap out now because Selly and Justas on the hards are looking to go to the end of the Grand Prix. But of course, Jamie, he'll need to make another pit stop, absolutely. So he's going to be hoping for a safety car. Otherwise, Selly 360 is going to be in a pound seat here, really. Of course, Luke in P4 as well on the softs. But look at the train behind him there. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars all in one straight there. And Luke is really the straw that broke the camel's back if they can get him out of the way. Frankis basically pushing him along in Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. Let's see what he can do, of course. We've got Urpek right on the back of Mick as well. Be interested to see what they can do, but now you can see the Alpine. There's not much fighting going on here. Nope, Luke knows better than to fight this one, but look in the background, Urpek potentially going down the inside. Is he? Oh, it's a late ball dive move to the inside, and he gets the move done. What a move in the end from the AlphaTauri man. Can Mick go down the inside again, though? No, he doesn't. And it's a great, great move in the end from Urpek. Move of the race so far, in my opinion. Well, Luke now with 3-lap-old softs, he looks like he's going to be falling down the field quickly. Coming through now. We see Urpek try and make a move down the inside. Usually he's one of the last of the late breakers is Urpek, but I don't want to get a move done there. He's going to wait until the DRS is there for him, but look at the cars behind, how close they are. Good exit for Luke in the end. Will he try and hold off the car behind? Of course, he has DRS now. Yeah, he just doesn't seemingly have any issues from behind as he did beforehand. You can see Gatkowski and Francesco fighting in the background as well, with Zorzo just behind there as well. Such brilliant drivers. Oh, see, Luke almost loses it whilst riding on board. That could have been awful. The Alfa Romeo man, that could have put him in the barrier, and that would have been curtains for his race, but thankfully kept it together. As we're already on lap 8 of the Grand Prix, and we have Jamie leading the Grand Prix at the moment. For anyone who has just joined us, as Zorzo gets a 3-second time, that could be massive in the end for the man who qualified P3, who's now down in P10. For anyone who just joined us, we started the race under wet conditions, intermediate conditions, and it has caused absolute havoc with the field. Talsberg gets a 3-second time penalty as well. Jamie, Selly and Justas, Frankis The top four seemingly kind of got away with it, but look at Luke now in P5, Erpek in 6th, Mick in P7, Gatkowski down in 8th, Francesco in 9th, Zorzo 10th, and Igor, of course, for anyone who missed it, was out in Q1. Started in 16th as Erpek is right on the back of Luke now. Will he try and go down the inside into the village section? Yes, he does. Looks like a good clean move in the end. Good to see. Good clean racing between them as Lars gets a 3-second time penalty as well. But Erpek is now going to be trying to fight with Frankis to get P4 in this Grand Prix. Luke falling once again like a stone. The championship leader Gatkowski stuck, it seems, in P8 at the moment. But like we mentioned before, Igor, who's now up into P13 as well, he was up somewhere as high as P8 at the moment with his teammate, and then he had to stay out another lap when the track got dry, and that's cost him so much. Lost a lot of positions. But he's now up into P13, and he's going to be doing everything he can, I'm sure, to get into the points. Every point matters here in Flashpoint. Such a closely contested league, should I say. You don't know 1 minute if you're going to be in the points. You don't know if 1 minute you're going to be fighting for the victory. All stone dead last. Speaking of which, Mick has got Gatkowski, the championship leader, right on the back of him. What will Gatkowski do? Look at that. He just doesn't seemingly have the straight line speed. I mean, look at that. Neither were using the ERS, as we see Luke actually battling out with Frankis. Erpek gets through on Frankis actually. And Frankis really struggling. Oh, as Luke almost hits the back of him. But the man who's P2 in the standings at the moment in the Alpine, he's going to want to use this race to close the gap as much as he can on Gatkowski, seemingly having a bit of a low-key race at the moment. But at the moment, Frankis does not seem to have good pace in the Alpine car. And Luke is right on the back of him once again. Mick and Gatkowski still battling it out. The Mercedes-Benz driver, again, like we mentioned, just doesn't seemingly have the straight line speed at the moment. He's got Francesco right on the back of him as well. This is looking a little bit closer as well, though. What can he do? He's using his overtake now. Can the championship leader make a move down the inside? But no, once again, he just doesn't have the straight line speed. No straight line speed for the Mercedes driver as Spicer comes into the pits in the sister Ferrari and retires. That's a shame to see, but he is not having the race that he wanted. But like I mentioned before, Gatkowski just doesn't have the straight line speed. Potentially set it up for rain and expected this to be much more rain in the Grand Prix, but there is not at the moment. And at the moment, it is status quo at the front with Jamie, Selly, Justas in P1, 2 and 3, and then Erpek slowly closing the gap as we've got a yellow flag in sector 1. I believe that is just Spicer's AI. You see that? Look at Gatkowski almost pushing the Williams through, but then look at this. The Williams just takes off into the distance, it seems like. If anything, he's going to be attacking Luke as we go into Stowe corner. Will he try and go down the inside now? Almost, but not quite with the straight line speed. Doesn't quite have enough over him, but you see in front. Oh, this is a crash! Oh, into the wall, and they're both into the barrier. Luke lost it on the entrance to Stowe, and that meant he had to brake. Mick hit the back of him, and that's so unfortunate, but it is Luke out of the Grand Prix, and safety car deployed instantly, and loads of drivers head into the pits. Igor into the pits, Walcott into the pits, Rick, Arzem, Lars, Mick, Kingsman. And Kingsman gets a 5-second penalty for a severe collision with Mick, but oh my goodness, Luke crashes. He lost it coming out of Stowe, and you could see going towards the barrier that the wheel flew straight off, and that's meant the safety car is out. And this has saved the likes of CPI Jamie and Erpek on the soft tyres, because they are going to be needing that extra pit stop. But one thing we will say now, this could be definitely be a problem for the rest of these drivers who have not pitted, because look at this, they are stuck behind the safety car. And look at the drivers now who have pitted. Walcott, after the pit stops are done, is going to be a net race leader. Jamie needs to pit. He cannot make it to the end, I'm sure, on them soft tyres, as does Erpek. The rest of the drivers potentially could make it to the end. I mean, Selly, Justas and Gatkowski definitely could make it to the end. They're going to have to try and do that. But look at the rest of the grid now. Frankis, Francesco, Zorzo. What do they decide to do at the moment? This has really thrown a spanner in the works. The drivers are going to be struggling now to keep these cars behind. I mean, look at the speed that Walcott is going to the grid at, and he is going to be net race leader if everyone pits, but I don't think they will do. But himself and Igor, who's now back in the Grand Prix as well, is put on a set of hard tyres. I would see mediums from him, but might not have had any left. But this has really thrown them back into contention for this Grand Prix, as it has Rick, Arzem as well. Of course, Zorzo with that penalty as well, he's going to be ruining that. But they are coming into the pits now. Absolutely every driver comes into the pits, and look at this. This has meant that Walcott is now leading the Grand Prix. Absolutely incredible. And it's going to be the likes of Igor, it's going to be Rick, it's going to be Arzem, Lars, Kingsman, Talisman, Mick, Janold and Vaporizer, who are going to be leading the Grand Prix. And oh my goodness, what a time for the safety car to come out. Is absolutely turned this race on the head. I can't believe this. This is absolutely brilliant for us as spectators. And look at Igor once again. I mean, this man, he's had such a torrid race. Qualified 16th, had a good start, a goal with his teammate, then got basically done over by when the rain stopped. He had to do another lap, but now back up into P2, and he's in contention for another race victory. And look at this now, Selly is actually ahead of Jamie, so he's got ahead of Jamie in the pits as well. He's not going to be happy on that Red Bull, but I think the Red Bull had to wait, and that's meant Selly's now up in P2. But after all is said and done, these drivers now are going to absolutely have to go for it to fight for another victory. And on lap 12 out of 26, the reigning champion in P9 and Kei Gatkowski, the points leader in the championship at the moment, has nothing, nil path for this race if it was to end right now, down in P14. For anyone just joining us, you have missed 12 brilliant laps here at the British Grand Prix circuit. Started in the rain, and we had such brilliant strategy calls being made, people going onto the dries just in time, and then when it seemingly was settling down in the Grand Prix, CPI Luke lost it out of Stowe. We saw him hit the barrier, wheel came flying off, and that was an instant safety car, and the cars behind him were able to get into the pits. But this meant that the cars in front, the leaders, the likes of Selly 360 reigning champion, CPI, Jamie, Erpek, Justas, Frankis, Gatkowski and co, had to wait behind the safety car, so they've had to pit a lap later. And when all is said and done, it is A&N Walcott who is leading the Grand Prix, which is not something I thought I'd be saying, and I'm sure not something that he thought would be happening. And Igor, after all the trials and tribulations, he actually qualified P16, did the Mercedes driver, has now put himself in the position to fight once again for what is an unlikely victory for the Mercedes man. As the safety car is out here at the British Grand Prix, let me know in the comments down below who you guys think will win this Grand Prix here in Flashpoint Season 5, of course. Championship leader Gatkowski in P14 at the moment. And of course, the man who wanted to take some points off him, Selly 360, only in P9 as well at the moment. Frankis as well, only P13, the man in second in the standings. Justas, terrible race last time out, was fighting for pole position, only P12 at the moment. CPI Jamie, a dominant lap at the end of Q3, put the Red Bull on pole position, but again only down in P10 at the moment after being overtaken in the pit lane by Selly 360, also the reigning champion. But it is Walcott leading from Igor, and then Rick in P3. That's a top three you probably didn't expect to hear on lap 13 of the British Grand Prix. Arzem in P4, Lars P5, Kingsman 6th, Talisman 7th, Mick 8th, Selly 9th, and Jamie round out the top 10. Of course, the penalties for Lars, Kingsman, Talisman and Mick as well are going to be massive. Absolutely massive. Kingsman, 5-second time penalty for causing a collision. 6 seconds for Talisman and 3 seconds either side for Lars and Mick. Potentially Kingsman could actually get that removed. As we mentioned before, these drivers, I mean, just look at the position changes. The safety car comes in this lap, 19 positions. Walcott started last of everybody. He now leads the British Grand Prix. He's now about to start a restart here for the first time. Igor in P2, up 14, Rick up 15. But it is Walcott who's going to start this race once more when the safety car comes in to the pit lane. As it comes in now, Walcott not backing the pack up at all. He just wants to get on with it, and that really is going to cause him issue, because looking at that now, Igor is right on the back of him already. That was not a well-judged restart from Walcott, but nevertheless he leads the Grand Prix, which is, I'm sure, something you did not expect to see after him qualifying P20, but that's the brilliance of Flashpoint Racing League. Eagle right in the back of him as well. I'm sure we'll see some battles going through into turn 1, will we? Some of the cars battling it out. We can see it up front. Oh, the Williams of Mick almost goes into the back of him, and that's going to put Selly 360 reigning champion side by side with him, is he? Yes, it is, as he goes through now. Uses the straight line speed of the Aston Martin and takes P8 at the moment. Will we see the Red Bull down the inside of Jamie's? Oh, bit of contact almost. And that's put Erpek right behind him. Let's get the lap times up, as Walcott has been overtaken now by Igor. Igor takes the Grand Prix lead, and Walcott, he had his moment in the sun, but has not been able to keep it there at the moment. Let's see if he can do anything going in to Maggots, Beckett and Chapel now. I'm sure he'll be more than happy to take P2 at the moment. But of course it is fighting for the win that we all love to do, as Jamie side by side with Mick just gets the move done. Of course, if anyone's just joining us now, Jamie was on pole position. It was a brilliant lap in the end in Q3 that got him into P1, but he is down as Kingsman gets P5 from Lars as well. And we can see Erpek trying to get through on Mick as well. Will he get the move done into Stowe? Side by side. Just about gets the move done, does he? No, still side by side. What brilliant racing we're seeing here in Flashpoint at the British Grand Prix. Just gets the move done into the club section. And Erpek up into P10. Gatkowski, though, still stuck. The championship leader stuck in P14. Incredible, as Rick gets a 3-second time penalty. That's massive. Side by side once again for Walcott and Arzem. Arzem, will he try and go around the outside in the Alfa Romeo? Just about gets the move done, does he? Yes. Into the village section. Walcott, unfortunately, now falling down the field. Such a shame to see. Will he try and get the move around the outside? It'll be an incredible move from there if he can do it around the outside of Brooklands. Don't think he'll be able to do it. Actually, he loses it quite wide. Oh, and they almost lost it. As Selly gets down the inside as well. So much different battles going on throughout this race. Incredible action at the British Grand Prix, but it is Igor who leads the Grand Prix. Something you would not have expected, but he is leading nonetheless. Selly 360 reigning champion. Doing everything he can at the moment, because he's going off the throttle there. He knows he cannot go side by side through Maggots, Beckett and Chapel. Through now we go. And he opens up DRS, does he? No, we do not have DRS quite yet. We will soon see. Selly down the inside, yes. Not problematic there for that man. Oh, it's Tallis, but almost loses it in the McLaren once again. Stowe causing so many issues for the drivers, and he goes wide because of it. And is that going to put Lars right in the back of him? Look at the train right behind this as DRS is finally enabled. Let's see what these drivers have in store now. 11 laps to go. What about in the background? We can see the Red Bull of Jamie down the inside. Pole position for Jamie. Can he now get back up to the podium positions after basically being done over by the safety car? Will he try and go down the inside of Village? Surely he can't get this move done, can he? Yes, he can. Down the inside of Talisba. What a move from the Red Bull driver up into P7. And he is absolutely on the warpath now. Selly as well. Can he get down the inside of Kingsman? Goes to the inside. Wants to show his cars there. As Erpek goes down the inside of Talisba as well. Walcott still in P4 at the moment as well. Holding his own at the moment in that McLaren. Doing a brilliant job up there. But it is Igor, Rick and Arzem. Good to see everybody watching as well. Thank you so much for joining me here. And for commenting as well. Great commentary. I appreciate you telling me that. Also as well, SH said Rick for the win. I mean, he's doing a brilliant job at the moment, isn't he? P2. Of course, he has got that penalty, but he's doing a brilliant job so far, as Selly is now right on the back, as Yanil gets a 3-second time penalty as well. Selly 360, can he get the move done on Jamie's teammate as he goes around the outside now? Not using his energy, but he has got the move done, and Selly 360 is now up into P5. As Igor is overtaken by Rick, and Rick might have a 3-second time penalty, but he wants nothing to do with Igor. Gets the race lead here at the British Grand Prix and goes off into the distance. Can he pull away now? Of course, he will be absolutely gutted about that 3-second time penalty as Jamie gets down the inside of his teammate as well into turn 1. Action absolutely everywhere. I'm sure we'll see Erpek down the inside here as well, can we? Yes, we do. Gets the move done on his sister team. The AlphaTauri of Erpek down and now up into P7. And he's going to want to follow Jamie through as much as he possibly can. Selly, though, right on the back now of Walcott. Arzem on the back of Igor, and Igor right on the back of Rick. He does not want to let the Alpine man leave him for dead. As As we go through now on lap number 17 towards the old pitch straight, of course, going towards a flat-out Copse corner now. What a race we've had so far here at Silverstone. Igor right on the back. And I'm sure we'll see some move going through towards Stowe as we go through Maggots, Beckett's, Chapel now. For anyone joining us, like we say, Rick has got a 3-second time penalty. And you have missed an absolute barnstormer. And I would very much recommend watching it back because so much has happened in this race so far. Igor, though, side by side, it's an easy move in the end. I think these two are practically working together at the moment, up into P1. Arzem right on the back of this as well. As we go through, Justas up into P9 as well. Look at the battles that are going on here. Kingsman, can he get both of them? Yes, he does. Justas down the inside, just about. Kingsman being overtaken by Talisman as well. Not a good few corners for the Red Bull man. But it's been a great few... Oh, it's got side by side. Look at this. Oh, and there's fights, there's battles, and there's crashes in the background. Oh, and the Ferrari came together, I believe it was. And Gatkowski now down into P16. Championship leader, scoring no points at the moment. Absolutely amazing scenes here at the British Grand Prix. This is not what he'll been expecting. As the AlphaTauri makes a battle with the Haas and the Red Bull. But Kay Gatkowski down in P16. It has been absolutely a terrible race for the championship leader at the moment. As Selly gets up now into P4. This could be a brilliant race victory if Selly keeps pulling his way through. Kay Gatkowski now is going to be wanting and praying that his teammate can keep the cars behind. As we've got, look at this battle here as well. Erpek trying to go down the inside of the Red Bull of Jamie. Surely can't do this into Copse, can he? Side by side. Bit of battling. Oh, it's a bit of contact. Just gets through on the inside. Pushes Jamie out the way. But he just gets through. I think there was no too much bad fighting there. I think it was all fair in the end. Erpek through on the inside. And Walcott up in P5. Can he get anywhere else in this race, or will he get overtaken once again by Erpek down the inside of Stowe? Yes, another classic move from Erpek. Last of the late breakers into Stowe, and he is up into P5 and is now on the back of the reigning champion Stelly 360. As Arzem in P3, Rick in P2, and Igor in P1 at the moment. What an incredible race. Lap number 19 of 26. I wish we had 20 more laps, but unfortunately we don't. Coming through now, Jamie in P7, Walcott in P6. I'm sure we're going to see a move from Jamie, are we, potentially into this next corner? Yes, we are, late on the brakes for the man who took pole position. And he is up now into P6. Walcott, of course, who was leading at the safety car restart, loses another position as well to Justas. Just about makes it through, and he's now just ahead of his teammate, and he is going to be falling like a stone. I'm sure it will still be an absolutely memorable race for the man who started last but led for such a brief period. But look at the top four now. Selly 360 on tyres that are fresher. He's got a full battery to use. But Igor does not want to give up this victory lightly, I am sure, after the trials and tribulations he's had in this race and the last race as well. Selly's going to be doing everything he can, I'm sure, to make it his own. But Arzem and Rick doing an absolutely fantastic job at the moment of staying with the Mercedes-Benz. It looks like Rick didn't have the best of exits. Is this going to put him on the back? No, because he's using all of his energy to get close. And you can see just about there, he's got such brilliant straight line speed. That's one thing we have seen with the Mercedes-Benz, both cars, Kay Gatkowski and Igor. They cannot have the straight line speed. They cannot overtake us. Francesco has a 3-second time penalty, massive for him. But of course, down in P18 at the moment after the battles and the fights that were happening. Shame for him. He had a brilliant race up until that point. But look at Kay Gatkowski. He's just stuck. Absolutely stuck in this Grand Prix. Francesco gets a 5-second penalty speed in the pit lane. I'm sure that's going to be a retirement from session. Yes, it is. But look at Kay Gat. He can just do nothing about this. He's not got the straight line speed in that Mercedes, and they have got the setup completely wrong of the team. As he opens up his DRS now, you can see the Haas. Look, even when he's using overtake, he cannot pull close. He cannot pull close as Igor still has the lead just about. Rick went into P1 briefly, but just look at Gatkowski. He's got so much more speed in the corners, but as soon as we get onto this front stretch here, the Haas just pulls away, and there's nothing the championship leader can do, and he is seeing his championship lead fall into dust. As we go through Copse corner now, and it's a terrible race for him and Vaporizer. Igor still leading at the moment. You'll see though, Rick He has so much more straight line speed, and he's going to take the lead as he, yes, as we go into there. Will we see the Alfa Romeo down the inside as well? Almost. Doesn't quite get it done though, but Rick does take the lead once again here at the British Grand Prix. Igor in P2, but look at the train. First to ninth, separated by a couple of seconds. As we start lap number 21 here now, it is Rick leading the Grand Prix, followed by Igor, Arzem, Selly, Erpek, Jamie, Justas, Walcott and Talisba. All within the same picture as Igor. No! 3-second tyre penalty for the Mercedes. And that's going to be absolutely massive. That means that the man who's in pole position at the moment for this race victory is ETA Arzem. And he's going to be loving this. Seeing the guys in front battle it out, not pulling away, but they've got penalties, and that's put him in a brilliant position. Selly 360 as well, he's biding his time. And this is going to be an absolute grandstand finish here to the British Grand Prix. And for anyone, like I said, who's just joining us, just look now at these positions. Look at that. Rick, P1, 17 positions up from where he started. Igor, P2, 14 positions up. Arzem, P3, 11 positions up. The rain came, the crashes came, and it's given us an incredible Grand Prix to watch here at Silverstone. As we go through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel for the 21st time out of 26. And currently it is Rick leading, Igor in second. Oh, as Arzem gets a terrible exit, and because of that, that's put Selly 360 right on the back of him, and it's also put Erpek on the back of them as well. And side by side, are they going to go into the next section? Yes, they are. And Arzem can't do anything quite about this one, can he? As we go through, Igor takes the race lead again, but it's put Selly 360 into P3. Oh, is there a contact? Yes, there is. Arzem, contact with Erpek, and in the background there's contact as well. Is the McLaren round? No, it's not quite, but they're still side by side going around the final corner. So much battling absolutely everywhere. And Selly 360 is back up into P3, Arzem in P4. Did well to keep it there. And Erpek, has he done his once late move again? Yes, he has. Up in P4. And he's going to be wanting to fight for this victory also. As Walcott up in P8, Zorzo down into... Oh, and there's contact! And the Aston Martin is round. And also, I think it was it Talisby? Yes, it was. Let's have a look at the penalties and see what's happening here. 3-second time penalty for Rick. In the comments, we're asking if the time penalty can be removed. I don't believe so, due to the fact that it was track limits. I believe when all track limits penalties are applied, they can't get removed from the steward's room, but of course that can be discussed. For now though, it is Igor in P1, Rick in P2, Selly P3, and once again drivers making contact. That has allowed the championship leader Hegatkowski to get some points. But one thing I will say is, look at this, around the outside. Is it from Rick? Surely not around the outside. Can he do so? If it is, this is a brilliant move. As we go towards the club section, yes, it is down the inside. Will Igor still have space around the outside? Just about. Can he get a switchback move though into the final corner? Not quite. Still brilliant racing between the top two drivers, but this has put Selly 360 right in the back of it, and Igor almost loses it. It runs so wide as Talisba retires in the pits. After all that, will we see Selly try and make a move down the inside? Will we see the Alpine try and make a move down the inside? Not quite. Oh, as he almost loses it. Does Rick? Rick almost loses it. Selly going to try and make it round the outside now. It's so close to contact between the two, but the reigning champion makes the move and he's up into P2. He's up into P2, and Igor now with no energy to play with is going to be having a problem. But Rick down the inside once again. Is he going to make contact? I believe there was a bit of contact between them, but he made it through. And it's a brilliant move in the end to get back up into P2. What incredible racing here at Silverstone. Lap number 23 of 26 is absolutely engrossing. This is exactly why we watch sim racing. So little separating the top drivers. And look at this now, 1st to 8th, all in the same picture. As Kingsman gets that 3-second time penalty once again. Erpek as well, he's going to be wanting to battle it out with the guys in front, see if he can get a win, because if Selly makes a mistake, Erpek is going to be there to do something about it. Everyone opens up that DRS now. And look at this. Igor has not got the straight line speed to fight with. And he's going to be gobbled up by two cars, is he? As we go into Stowe now. Yes, he is. Selly 360. Tries to get the move done through the inside. Doesn't quite have the ability to do it at the moment. But going into the final section now. Will Igor get P2 once again? Selly still on the inside though. As we start lap number 24. Oh, there's contact between the two once again. But Igor keeps the position. And this is giving Rick a bit of breathing space at the moment. If Rick can get 3 seconds, He could get this race victory. It's going to be very hard from here. If Selly goes down the inside, as he does he? Yes, he does. Just about keeps it on the track, but look at the battling behind the Alfa Romeo down the inside of the Haas car as well. And Justas down into P6, P5 slightly. Just about gets through as Selly, again, down the inside of Eagle. Eagle can do nothing with the straight line speed of that Mercedes-Benz. But in the background, there's so much fighting going on. Arzem did brilliantly well to hold the car in the position as much as he did, but now he's falling slightly down the field. Tyres are older, they're a harder compound. The crowd are going absolutely wild. But Arzem can do nothing about it in the end, down into P6. I'm sure he's going to be wanting a top 3 position though, so he'll still keep fighting. I am absolutely certain of that one. Rick, though, with that 3-second time penalty, will be ruining everything that has happened, because otherwise it would have been a brilliant result for the man in the Alpine. Let's see now what's going to happen for the rest of the Grand Prix. We've got the drivers here fighting it out for P4, P5 and P6 around the outside potentially. No, Justas just about gets it, but Erpek down the inside, is it, of Igor. Couldn't quite get the move done. Will he go down the inside of here though? He does like a late braking move, and it's almost a bit of contact. Igor does give him the space though, round the outside. Still brilliant amount of space being left. Brilliant racing between the two of them, but this is causing so many problems. Erpek knows the race victory and Selly 360 are absolutely flying away from him now with 2 laps to go, and he's down the inside. Just Igor has nothing to do with now. Oh, it's the Haas hits the back of Igor, and that's allowed Arzem down the inside. Justas loses it, just about keeps the car. Oh no, Jamie and Walcott, after all they've been through this Grand Prix, Walcott led, Jamie got pole position, but they have spun and they are now out of the points. Oh, that's horrible to see. You hate to see that. A man who will love to see that is Kay Gatkowski, gives him more points, but after all is said and done, they are now out of the points paying position. Zorzo just about gets the points, but Jamie now down in P11 will want to get a point out of this, I'm sure. But that is terrible to see. But look at this, after all is said and done, so much fighting going on up above. Gatkowski and Vaporizer, who have been having terrible races, are now fighting with the front of the grid as the Red Bull of Jamie, Zorzo and Frankis battling it out once again. And Frankis, as Jamie loses it, and he's going to go down the outside of the grass, is he? Almost into the barrier, doesn't quite do that. Keeps it just on circuit, thankfully. But with 1 lap to go, it is Rick in the Alpine who will be absolutely ruining that penalty that he's got. Erpek in P3 seemingly can't do anything about Selly 360, who's going to take another race victory, it looks like here. After a brilliant fight back through the field, Arzem looks like he's potentially going to get a shock podium as well, which would be fabulous for the Alfa Romeo team. Will we see Gatkowski down the inside? Will we potentially a Vaporizer? Not quite able to do it, using everything he has, but Vaporizer doesn't have anything he can do. What about Selly though? Yes, he gets the race lead on track, and it's going to be Selly 360 for a second race running. He definitely made it hard for himself, didn't he? But on the final lap of the Grand Prix, he gets through. And look at this, Justas can't do anything. Vaporizer, should I say, can't do anything to get close to his teammate in front. Gatkowski again can't do anything to get through either. What can Mick do? Oh, yes, he has a 3-second time penalty, but I'm sure he'll want to do something about the cars in front on the final lap. But after all is said and done, things are starting to slowly settle down now. It looks like it's going to be Selly 360 in P1 and Erpek in P2 once penalties have been applied. Eagle will be ruining another penalty that's going to put him out of the podium positions. As we can see in the background, look at the battling there, almost side by side. Is it Mick down the inside? Gatkowski can't quite do anything about it, just down the inside, but it is going to be, once again, reigning champion. He made it hard for himself, but Selly 360, a brilliant win at Silverstone. Rick takes P2, Erpek third, and once penalties are applied, as we see here across the line now, will we see somebody try and get Vaporizer? Can't quite do it, but in the end, Selly 360, what can you say, a brilliant result from him. And once penalties are applied, an absolutely brilliant race. Look at that. ETA Arzem, 11 positions up. Rick as well. What could have been for him? It could have been a P2 without that penalty. Still a brilliant result in P5. Igor in 6th. Good damage limitation, but what could have been? And when all is said and done, Jamie will be absolutely livid with that one, as will Walcott. Brilliant races from the both, undone at the end, but it is once again the reigning champion, Selly 360. What can you say about this man? He just absolutely delivers when it is needed. And he does everything he needs to do when it is needed. Absolutely incredible. Selly 360, you can see him there, punching the air. Deservedly so. What a race. And the man who started P3 on the grid. Outdone by the safety car. Igor gets driver of the day from the game. But what I believe with a wholeheartedly, and I think a lot of people will agree with me as well, driver of the day for me has got to be Alfa Romeo driver. Of course, as you can see there in P3, what a result for the Turkish driver. But it is once again the formidable Selly 360. Looks at that trophy as if to say, yeah, I'm not even surprised. What a race from the Aston Martin man, reigning champion. 2 wins on the bounce now. He made it hard for himself. But it is 50 points for Selly 360. And it is a brilliant, brilliant result in the end. That puts him at the top step of the podium. So when all is said and done here at the British Grand Prix, it is Selly 360 who takes the victory from 4th on the grid. And then look at that, Ite Arzen P3. Got to be the driver of the day for me. Brilliant. But again, Rick as well. What a result for him. And Igor as well. Yes, Igor would have been expecting more. But it is P16 to P5 in the end. And then Vaporizer 6th. Good damage limitation in the end from him. Gatkowski only 7th place in the end. And that's meant that Selly 360 is now, after 3 races, your new Drivers' Championship leader. He overtakes Kei Gatkowski on 50 points, as Kei Gatkowski only now has 46 in P2. And then Mick in 8th, Frankis 9th, and Zorzo from 3rd to 10th at the end of the Grand Prix. But like we say, absolutely incredible result in the end for Selly 360 and the rest of the grid. Thank you so much for watching. Join us again next week as hopefully we get another absolutely enthralling Grand Prix. It's been absolutely brilliant to be here commentating. What a race, what a qualifying. And we're going to have more of this next time out as we head next week for another Grand Prix. Thank you for watching.